Hey, what's going on, boxing fans? This is Sean with Boxing and Basketball, along here with my co-host Alejandro. What's going on, Alejandro? How you doing? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah, hold on. Having some difficulties.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna reset my Wi-Fi.
All right. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, let me put in here. Let me put the invite link here. So I want y'all to join in on this discussion. Join in on our discussion. Let's see here. Put the link in there for y'all so y'all can join in. Let me throw that on Twitter real quick. Is Tyson Fury top 5 heavyweight of all time? Join in live. Come on, tweet. Why isn't my stuff tweeting? I said, oops, I already said that. All right, let me discard. It didn't even show that it went through. Let me go to my tweet, see if it went out. All right, yeah, it went out. I don't know what was going on Twitter. Twitter was tripping there for a minute. All right. Waiting for Alejandro to come back in. All right, we got three people in the chat room. All right, just bear with us for a second. We're just waiting for Alejandro to get back on. Let me see what happened here. We're going to talk tonight is Tyson Fury in the top 5. Let me switch this back. I removed this. There we go. I'll keep it like that until Alejandro gets back on. Sorry about that. Alejandro had to go reset his Wi-Fi to get it up and going again. Well, listen, I want to go over with y'all that's here in the chat already. Well, let me hit y'all with this real quick. So I definitely will appreciate y'all support. Check this out real quick.
Make sure you hit the new thanks button down below to donate to our YouTube channel so we can keep bringing you fresh content.
All right. So listen, everybody's still kind of thrilled and excited about the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder trilogy. One of the top fights. All right, here's Alejandro.
There we go.
I hear you loud and clear now.
All right. Cool.
Which one do I want? I want this one now, I think. Yeah, there we go. I hear you loud and clear now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Okay. All right, so Alejandro, man. So listen, a lot of people are still pretty excited, man, over the Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. And, there's been rumblings and talks, with the heavyweight division, some fights coming up this year. And people are wondering, man, is Tyson Fury in the top 5 heavyweights of all time?
At this time, I don't think he's there yet. But if he continues to win, maybe get a win over Usyk and then maybe beat up Joshua, maybe then we could talk about it, but not yet, in my opinion.
All right, so before we say that, I want to run through a list of some of the top 10s that people got out there. So we'll go through the top 10 list and then we'll go back to see if Tyson Fury even deserves to be in that. Now, this is a top 10 list. We're talking about top 5. They got Rocky Marciano, 49-0 with 43 by knockout. I still don't know how he did that as a small heavyweight. A lot of people said a lot of those fights were set up. They got Tyson Fury there in the top 10, 31-0. They got Joe Lewis in there. They got George Foreman in there, especially after he came back and beat a 26-year-old Michael Moore at the age of 45. Got Joe Frazier in there. Of course, the fight of the century was that 1971 March fight with Muhammad Ali was his first loss. When he handed Muhammad Ali his first loss. Larry Holmes is in there because he defeated people like Ken Norton, Ernie Shavers, Muhammad Ali along the way. Of course, Mike Tyson's in there. Mike Tyson's one of the, besides Muhammad Ali, is one of the most recognized heavyweights around the world. Evander Holyfield. People pay attention to him because not only was he a great fighter, but he's also the man that beat up Mike Tyson a couple times. And they got Lennox Lewis in there, which is arguably one of the top British heavyweights of the last 30 years. And then, of course, Muhammad Ali. They got Muhammad Ali in there. One of the first recognized heavyweights around the world in his era, and for what he stood up for social justice. In that top 10, I know the banner we have says top 5, but top 10, does Fury at least deserve to be in the top 10?
I think top 10, yes, but top 5, no.
All right. Who would you throw in there? And who would you throw in there for your top 5?
Ooh, it was hard. I was going through everybody and it was just like So my list would be Tyson on number 5. Number Tyson, 4 would be Lennox Lewis.
Okay.
My number 3 would be Joe Lewis. Number 2 would be Jack Johnson. And number 1 would be Muhammad Ali.
Okay. So interesting. That would be my list. That's an interesting list. So let me ask you this, Alejandro. A lot of people don't talk too much about Jack Johnson. But I think Jack was right out of Galveston, Texas. Man, I think he was the first black heavyweight champion, right? Of all time.
He was, correct.
And what made you put him at your number 2? Or even in the top 5 period?
Well, just the history of what he had the history he went through to get to become the heavyweight champion, of him not being allowed to fight against whites and not being able to compete for the heavyweight champion because of segregation and the times at that time. And he didn't care. He pursued it until he got the chance to fight Tommy Burns and stop him and play with him and become the heavyweight champion. And he basically opened the doors for all African American fighters to be able to fight for pristine belts. And so he did a lot for just minorities, in my opinion. So and a lot of times they did him dirty, but he did a lot for the sport, and thanks to him, he opened the doors for everyone to be able to fight for a belt.
Right. So let's check this out. So I pulled up a quick little 5 fun facts about Jack Johnson. Number 1, he survived a Galveston hurricane. He was born in 1878 in Galveston, Texas, lived there to an adult. And September 8th, 1900, Galveston was hit by the worst natural disaster in American history. This hurricane killed more than 6,000 people and left 30,000 more homeless. And Johnson's home was destroyed, but he survived and was one of the few wrestlers in Galveston, one of the few who did not lose a family member. Number one fun fact. Number two, they got him down as the greatest defensive heavyweight boxer of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Johnson did not win the heavyweight title until he was 30 years old. And after that, films were made of his major defenses, including a win over Jeff Jeffries in the fight of the century. The recordings gave you a sense of how great he was, but did not fully capture him in his prime. In an era where fights would go as long as 45 rounds, Johnson would literally play defense until his opponents wore themselves out, and then he would destroy them. According to Damon Rouyon, there was no greater defensive fighter than Jack Johnson ever lived. The late boxing historian Bert Sugar ranks Johnson as the fourth best heavyweight of all time, behind Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, and Jack Dempsey. Fun fact number 3, the first vicious knockout in boxing history. We've all seen the highlight reels of Mike Tyson knockouts and Rocky Marciano dropping a Jersey Joe Walcott. But Howard Johnson's beatdown of Stanley Ketchel may be the first savage knockout ever recorded on film. He and the middleweight champion met in 1909 with the agreement that they would split 40% of the proceeds of the fight's film box office sales. But because Johnson was much bigger than Ketchel, the two agreed that the fight would go at least 12 rounds to attract more film goers. But in the 12th round, Ketchel sucker punched Johnson with the right hand and put him out on the canvas. The heavyweight champion got up with the attitude, okay, we're actually doing this. And man, if you watch the video, that punch knocked Ketchel knocked out his 2 front teeth, which were embedded in Johnson's gloves.
His glove, yeah.
All right, fun fact number 4.
Yeah, so
No, go ahead.
So Jack Johnson, he did a lot, and it's just like how he started. He started fighting at the age of 16, and then unfortunately, he was part of those battle royal blindfolds. They would throw African American fighters into a ring and just with blindfold and just start punching. But he was recognized from those that people would start saying like this guy could be a good fighter. And so he just continued to grow as a fighter, and a lot of people say that he's the first person to ever master the sweet science.
Oh wow!
So it's huge,
right? I don't know what's going on my Twitter. I'm trying to send out a new tweet. Let's see what I get. Let's see, come on and ask questions.
Also, there was a lot of corruption that would go in Jack Johnson's fights, and so he was always the underdog, and he didn't care. He had a I can do attitude, and he changed his life and the sport forever.
Right. All right, so check this out. Fun fact number 4 about him. Johnson loved driving fast in a newly invented automobile and challenged racing legend Barney Oldfield to a contest. Oldfield has set the world speeding record at 131 miles per hour in March 1910. The two raced in Brooklyn's Sheepshed Bay that October, with Oldfield leaving Johnson in the dust. And number 5, fun fact number 5, the Cotton Club. After he got out of prison, Johnson teamed with Bud Levy to open a Cafe Deluxe nightclub in Harlem in 1923. The club was such a hit that gangster Odie Madden decided to muscle his way in to take it over and force Johnson and Levy out. Once he did, Madden gave it a new name, the Cotton Club. Some interesting fun facts there.
Yeah, I like him. So what did you have as your top 5?
I was really debating that because like I was just going over and over and over and over top 5 heavyweights, and it's really hard to come up with. I definitely had Muhammad Ali at number 1. And it wasn't so much that Muhammad Ali because he had some losses, right? But
Yeah.
he was the first ones that I've seen that he would actually talk smack and tell you what round he was going to knock you out in and actually do it, which was just mesmerizing for a heavyweight
Yeah.
to do that. And then not only that, but only for what he stood for in the social justice and what he believed in. And, and he didn't believe in going to the war. And he stood his ground, and, it cost him
Mm-hmm.
a good part of his boxing career. You got a lot of people standing up for Black Lives Matter and social justice and the Me Too movement and all that. But the first global figure that I watched that stood up for social justice was Muhammad Ali. So not only his boxing acumen, but also what he stood for outside of the ring as well. So I had him number
Yeah.
one. Number two, I had Lennox Lewis down there. I had Lennox Lewis down there only because he was from my era. Like, I didn't really just see. I mean, you had some heavyweights, that fought during Mike Tyson's time, man. But Lennox Lewis, man, his overall jab, his overall composure,
Yeah.
his the ability to get up, man. I just never saw that kind of fight in a British heavyweight fighter before. I mean, there's a lot of great British fighters, but out of a heavyweight and the dominance that he dominated with, man. And I still never forget seeing him get knocked down by Oliver McCall the way he did, man. But yet to get back up and defeat Oliver McCall until the man was crying in the ring. But, they say he was on drugs and cocaine and stuff. And then to watch him get clobbered with that right hand by Hussein Rahman, but just come back in a rematch and destroy him the way he did. And then I knew he was
Mm-hmm.
on to something, man, when it came to the Klitschko fight, right? So that's one of the reasons why
Yeah.
I had him on there as one of my second top one. The third one would be Mike Tyson. Only because Mike Tyson at the time was one of the most feared men in boxing. And honestly, after hearing all the stories about Mike Tyson later on in the years and how he messed around after he became heavyweight champion and was doing drugs and drinking and all that, I just kept saying he did all that while drinking and on drugs, and he was able to accomplish that, right? So I'm like, imagine what this dude would have done if he didn't do any of that. If he had still custody of Amato and he kept him straight for like his first 50 fights, I don't think nobody could have touched him. He puts me in mind of James Kirkland and Ann Wolfe. Once James Kirkland left Ann Wolfe, it was never the same.
Mm-hmm.
That was my third, right? Then I had Jack Johnson as the fourth in that list. And I had Jack Johnson for, a lot of the same reasons that you had him in the list. And then last but not least, I think I had Joe Louis in there. I mean, when you look at 25 consecutive title defenses like that, 25 consecutive title defenses,
Yeah.
that's crazy,
insane.
man. I don't know no heavyweights.
Especially in heavyweight.
Yeah, I don't know any heavyweights that have this time era that has anywhere close to half of that. I mean, how many did Klitschko? Klitschko had a lot, right? But it was nowhere close to 25.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can Google it. How many title defenses did Klitschko have? I know it says here, Vladimir, he defended his WBO title 19 times. 5 during his first reign and 14 during his second. It says only Joe Louis had 25 defensive and Larry Holmes had 20. So, I mean, what? He's top 3? And Yeah, so Joe Louis is just number one, man, with all those title defensive. But I definitely would have, I definitely, I definitely have Vladimir Klitschko at number 6, Tyson Fury at number 7. That's how I would have ranked it.
Hmm. Well, Fury's
All right.
getting up there, but he's big. His biggest win is just it's been the Wilder fights, and
Well, I
I
mean,
think he
just look
needs
at it,
to get
right?
in the ring, like maybe with a Luis Ortiz and continue to win. Hmm.
Well, let's look at this, right? So you remember he beat Derek Chisora, who
Yeah,
nobody was fighting at the time, that was 14-0, right? And then after that, where was that other fight?
yeah,
And then he fought Steve Cunningham, and that's the first time we've seen, well, that I've seen Fury go down in the fight and come back and win and beat him, right? Then he came back and fought Derek Chisora again, which was still a tough fight. And he made him quit at the end of the 10th round, right? Then he turned around and beat Vladimir Klitschko. Um, then after that, then of course, like you said, you had the 3 Deontay Wilder
yeah.
fights. Um, I'm not saying his resume is full with top level talent, but I'm adding in the factor that what other sloppy 280-pound heavyweight that was strung out on drugs and alcohol and depression do what he did, and he's never been in ripped shape ever.
Um, Maybe Larry Holmes, but no, he didn't do. He wasn't living a bad life, but like I'm being in shape. But yeah, it's pretty impressive of what he's done.
And
But
look, let me
compared
ask
to
this,
this
Alejandro.
list, I still don't think so.
Right, but let me ask this, Alejandro. What other? And like I said, I got him in like number. What I put him at number 7. I had him at number 7, right? But I
7,
mean,
yeah.
just look at this guy's physique, man. 280 pounds, and he's able to bounce around 12 rounds. And honestly, when have you ever seen Tyson Fury tired at the end of 12, the fights that went 12 rounds? When did you ever see him exhausted or gassed after 12 rounds? Even when fighting Deontay Wilder and he's taking thunder shots. To be that big and to have that energy, man, it's just amazing.
Yeah, his stamina is crazy. It's especially carrying all that weight. It's impressive. But I think he needs a couple more signature wins. The Klitschko was huge, and Chisora, if he defeats him, that would be a good one. Um, if he, I don't know, it's just he just needs to keep winning, and I think I'm sorry, Dylan White. If he defeats Dylan White in a spectacular fashion, I think it would be a great win under his resume. And if he, even if he beats, he needs to beat Joshua. He needs to fight Joshua. He needs to beat the so-called best of our era at the moment, and he would cement his name even. Like he needs a couple more big wins.
Right. So, Alejandro, let me ask you this. So, I would actually put Fury in the top 5, like you said, if he beats Dylan White, and whether it's
Yeah,
by
Dylan White
decision
would.
or not, whether it's by decision or knockout, it doesn't matter. As long as he beats him, right? And if he can finish his heavyweight career with Usyk, defeating Usyk,
Mhm.
and defeating Anthony Joshua. If he can beat those 3 guys in a row next, definitely I will put him maybe because he'll be 13, 30. So he'd be 34-0 if he did that. He would definitely be
Mhm.
maybe number 3 or 4 on my list. Definitely number 3 or
Yeah,
4.
and And if he could do that in the next 2 years, is he could do that. He could make it happen. Maybe be white, and then I think he could fight Joshua next, or whoever wins from Joshua and Usyk fight. But yeah, those would be huge wins,
You
and
know,
yeah, he would
Alejandro,
definitely be considered. Hmm.
Alejandro, do you know the only reason why Vladimir Klitschko isn't in my top five? And when I say he's number 6 and I say he's right there, I feel bad for Vladimir because he was beating people left and right, right? And let me tell you something. Vladimir fought everybody from number 1 to number 20. Whoever the top 20 heavyweights are, and when I say he fought all top 20 heavyweights, he beat them, right? The problem
Yeah,
is only one, maybe 2 heavyweights were good at that time. And that really hurt Vladimir. And it wasn't his fault. I mean, he fought. And when I say everybody in the top 30, like I swear I think this guy fought number 1 through 30 and beat them all. And it was like, man, but it just you didn't have
just the
it, the
talent.
era. Yeah, it was the era he was in, man. I wish he was in his prime during this era, fighting like the Furies, even though he fought for it, but during this time, the Deontay Waters, the Lennox Lewises, the Luis Ortiz. You know, I just wish it
Hmm.
was during this era time to see how he would have done. And let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something about the Klitschko's?
Mm.
Uh, uh, um, God rest his soul, man. Emmanuel Stewart. Anybody, and I want to challenge everybody out there. Anybody goes back and watch the Klitschko brothers, right? When they got hammered and knocked out, Emmanuel Stewart saved them. You go back and watch their later fights, Emmanuel Stewart taught them to use their range. All their knockouts
Hmm.
because they allowed smaller heavyweights get in and it clocked them right on the chin every time. After Emmanuel Stewart got them, you could not get inside. If you got inside, they automatically grabbed you.
Clinch.
And once the ref broke, man, they kept you at their long 10-foot range the whole fight. The whole fight. And I have to give credit to Emmanuel because and people don't know this, the Klitschko's had glass jaws, but you had to punch their glass jaws to beat them. And Manuel Stewart taught them to use the range, and if they were able to get in, please grab automatically. He knew that their chin was suspect.
That's one of the things with the Klitschko's is that the way they fought, it was kind of like the Cuban style that you clinch and just clinch and clinch. That a lot of people were turned off from their style. They still sold out arenas and so on, but a lot of people are expecting a lot of boring fights.
Well, here's the thing, Alejandro. But here's the thing. But look how many fights that they ended in knockouts. Even
Hmm.
though they clinched and
Yeah,
held, if you were on the end of their long power right hand, you were going to sleep. It was just a matter of
yeah.
time. Let me see. Let me look up the record. I'm spelling it wrong. KLI. Oh man, how do you spell Klitschko?
See box rec.
I'm gonna have to Google it. Okay, I see. Clit. All right, so Vitali. Let me see. Dr. Iron Fist Vitali, 45-2 with 41 knockouts. That's crazy. You know how high of a knockout ratio that is? And then Vladimir, Dr. Steelhammer, which had way more fights. 64-5 with 53 KOs. Now let's pay attention to this. Remember I told you they had glass jaws? Out of their 5 losses, he was knocked out 4 times. Tyson Fury is the only one that didn't knock him out, but he beat him by decision. But Vladimir was knocked out 4. He was KO'd 4 out of the 5 losses. And Vitaly, both of his losses were by knockout. He got knocked out by Lennox Lewis in the 6th round, which was a stoppage, and Chris Bird in the 9th round, a referee stopped it due to he had a shoulder injury. I'll put it like this. All right, so Vitaly is the one that had the chin. So Vitaly could take the punch. So, his 2 losses was the fight was stopped due to the cut when he fought Lennox Lewis, and the other one was because he had a shoulder injury. So Vitaly is the one that could actually take a punch. It was Vladimir he had to get a hold of and teach Vladimir to use his range. That's who it was.
Yeah, you're right. Tyson Fury was the only one that defeated him without knocking him out.
Yep. But everybody else would drop. They would drop Vladimir his 5 losses. They drop him. But when Emmanuel Stewart got a hold of Vladimir, he taught that boy, man, when they get inside, you hold, and when they weren't, you use your range. But he could crack. He was knocking people out left and right.
And that's one of the things that a lot of these fighters that are taller, they like to fight small, and they're not disciplined enough to just use their range and use their advantages at times. Like what's that young kid, the welterweight that's fighting right now that is he welterweight? I can't remember his name. The tall, little, skinny Hispanic guy. Let me find out how long. He fought on the undercard of the Cruz Davis fight.
Tall and Hispanic.
Yeah. Let me find out his name. Hold on. Can't think of his name. But he fights for PBC.
Davis versus Cruz.
Yeah.
Undercard.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
It was a co-main event.
They had Sergio Garcia.
No.
Versus Sebastian Fandera.
Yeah, the Fandera. Oh. So Fandera's how tall is that kid?
Let's see. Sebastian Fandera. Let's look it up. See if they got it on BoxRec.
So he's about 6'5". So he fights at 154.
Yeah, 6'5". Oh, okay. Yeah. I know who you're talking about now. Yep.
So this kid, he likes to.
He's fighting at 154.
Yeah, and he doesn't use his range as the Klitschko's did, and I think if he would use his range, he would be much better. But this guy for 154, he's like a Paul Williams kind of a fighter, but he clinches down and fights, and I think if he continues to do that, he's gonna get dropped. But that's an art that you got to learn to be disciplined enough to just not go to old habits, and how Emmanuel Stewart taught them is amazing. They actually listen, because sometimes when fighters are already fighting and they're used to their own style, they'll go back to it once they get hit. And it's crazy how Emmanuel Stewart was able to teach the Klitschko's how to use their range and clinch when they had to.
I tell you what, man, now that you brought him up, looking at his record, man, you look at his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The last 8 fights, when he was 10-0, he fought a 10-0 guy. Then he fought a 17-0 guy. then a 14-1 guy, then a 6-0 guy, then a 21-4 guy, then a 27-1 guy, then a 30 wins, 4 loss guy, and then beat Sergio Garcia, who was 33-0. So man, they've actually been sticking him in with some stiff competition. Wow.
Yeah, the last fight, it was a tough fight for him. He won the fight, but it was tough.
Hey,
But
is
yeah,
this
it's
one of
good
those guys that
they're putting
eventually
him out there.
is this one of those guys, man, when he get about 10 more years in his career, he might be fighting at heavyweight, 6'5.5". Man, that's super tall, man, for a junior middleweight.
Maybe. Well, maybe if he continues to win, it could happen.
I mean, think about the skills he got now at middleweight, right? And you just slowly growing every couple of years into the next weight class. Middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight. All right, so who we got? Second city dude, Tyson Fury is the GOAT. All right. Second city dude, man. Why you think? Oh, he hopped off. I'm about to ask him why you think he the GOAT. Now he far from the greatest of all time, but he's climbing up the ranks. Hey, look. So tell me, Alejandro. So what was this I was hearing
If he
about
gets those wins, he'll be
Anthony?
good.
Alejandro, ask me what was this I was seeing the other day or last week about? They were talking about Anthony Joshua was going to take some step aside money. Then he came back and said, "Man, I'm not taking no step aside money." What was all that about?
Well, what I heard is that it was just a rumor. Supposedly, they were offering him, I think it was 20 million, but I don't know. I don't think nobody's going to offer him that much money to step aside. And the Fury White fight was bound to happen. So I think it was more of a rumor, but I don't know.
Hey, and Alejandro, I'm gonna end it with this. We're gonna end with this one last thing, and it's not heavyweight related. But I want to ask you this: how come Tim Smith from PBC said they don't have no money for Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford, but they got 50 million for Canelo Alvarez?
I don't know, and and I get real disappointed when they say that Crawford don't sell. It's
ludicrous.
I just don't get it. It's that's probably the biggest fight out there at the moment, in my opinion. We've been waiting for that fight to happen for years. And I honestly think it would sell out at Dallas, Texas, at the Cowboy Stadium. It would be a sellout. Or you could even do it at maybe the MGM Grand, but I think Dallas, Texas would be the perfect spot for it because there's a big boxing community over there, and they were able to sell out the Mikey Garcia versus Spence fight. So could you imagine what the Crawford Spence would do? But
Exactly.
I don't know. It's a lot of politics with Crawford, and I just don't understand why they don't want to give him a chance. It's either they're protecting their own. I honestly think they don't want to make that fight happen until Crawford gets either hurt or looks vulnerable. That they believe Spence could win. Maybe before the accident. I think if the accident would never happen, it would have been a great possibility. The fight would have already happened. But I don't think Spence will never be the same after that. So I honestly think that I hope it happens, but it doesn't seem good, especially when PBC's it's already saying that it's not worth the money.
Right. I'm looking now at the distance between Omaha, Nebraska, and Dallas. It's a 10-hour drive. Trust me, they would drive down for that.
Yeah.
Super Roach, 007. What do you guys think of the Fury glove tampering claims? Yeah, I just never believed in it. I just never did. I mean, number one, if Tyson Fury was to do that, the dude would have broke his hand. He would have. And then what makes it so bad? You saying he's hitting with the side of his hand like a wrist. Like how you knock somebody out by slapping them with your wrist. And then number two, as soon as the fight's over, the gloves are taken off and given right to the commissioners right then and there.
Yeah, the tempering, I don't think so. It's especially the egg weight controversy too. That supposedly he had a weight in his hand. I don't know. Yeah, the gloves did look a little weird, but I don't think he didn't cheat. It was just, I don't think so.
Right. Exclusive news insider. Good to see a fellow basketball and boxing channel for real. Man, appreciate exclusive news insider.
So
yeah, man. Go ahead.
So like there was a lot of controversies through that fight. It was the second one when all the controversy, because they showed a lot of video of the first one when it was a draw about the gloves, and then not the second. Also, Wilder saying that he was drugged, and then so much stuff came out of that fight. I honestly think a lot of it was just Wilder couldn't accept the defeat on the second one, and it just
All right.
firing his coach and so on. It kind of like
Right.
Hey, how y'all doing tonight, man? How y'all doing tonight, man?
Oh man, doing good, man. How's it going, brother?
Everything's good. I'm just glad to see another channel doing the same thing I do. I could appreciate that for real. That made me real excited to see that, man.
Hey man,
awesome.
Drop your link down on our comment section, man, so we can check out your channel and subscribe.
Oh, definitely will.
Yeah.
Just now. Right
Sounds
now.
All right, man. So who's in your profile picture? Is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. What is that you holding? I'm trying to look up close. What's that you
that's
holding?
my trophy that I had won. Yeah, I participate in the sport as well.
Okay.
Nice.
The basketball was my first love for real. So it's kind of funny how it all works, you know. So my channel is based off of basketball, boxing as well. So
yeah. So how long you been boxing now?
I've been boxing for about 4 years now. So
all right. How old are you now?
I'm 19 now. I just turned 19 January 13th.
All right. What weight class you fighting at?
I fight at 139 pounds. Yeah, they kind of split up the weight classes. It used to be 141. They added 147 pounds now, and it's 139 now, and it's 156. And after 156, I think it's 160. They added a lot of new weight classes. Yeah.
Right. And what's your name?
Elijah. That's my name. That's
Elijah.
my name.
Elijah. Man, Elijah, it's funny when you said that, I was like, man. So Elijah, when I started boxing, I was fighting, it was 139. And
Right.
then I went to some Golden Gloves a few years ago, and I heard him say, man, it's 141. I was like, man, it was 139 when I fought. And I was like, I swear, I promise you, I wish it was 141. Because them 2 extra pounds, man, would have made a big difference, man.
Yeah, but I'm making the weight a lot more comfortably now. I don't know why. I'm supposed to be a grown boy, but I don't know, man. The weight.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'8". The weight been coming off real easy now. I don't know what's going on. I feel like I could go down, but it's I feel like it's a challenge at 139 for me to conquer. So I'm gonna stay there until it's time for me. I feel like it's time for me to go down.
Right. Yeah, because I'm 5'8". Because listen, I had my first smoker. Well, I have fought on an Army team. I was on an international team, and I was on a German team. Three teams all at one time when I was overseas. But I was fighting in the Army. And but my first fight was in Augusta, Georgia. And I was fighting at 165 for a smoker. After I fought at 165 as a smoker, then I had my coach have me drop down to 147. I did my first 2 fights at 147, and I actually lost my first 2 fights at 147 to the same guy. And then my coach had me drop down to 139, and then I went on a run there, man, fighting all overseas. And
Nice.
I forgot what I finished at. I think it was like 30. 35 wins, 4 losses. Got an opportunity to go
That's
to
a great
the Eastern Olympic trials. And yeah, but I had a good run, man. I loved it, man.
That's a great record for real. That's a great record.
Now the only problem is you started way before me. I didn't
Right.
start boxing until I went into the army, so I didn't start boxing until I was 20.
And it's great.
So,
It's great.
20.
Oh, sorry to cut you off. Okay.
oh yeah, I was just saying I didn't start till I was 20 years old. That was my first time boxing. So I boxed from 20 to 25, man. And it's a little bit different, man, because I was in the army and we're basically I was fighting grown men at that time. You know, I wish I had an opportunity to fight when I was like 13, 14 and fight guys, you know, teenagers my age, but man, you get thrown into the wolves, man, fighting grown men at that time.
Right. And I'm also gonna say the amateurs was a different time, like you said, in your time period, because I'm sure you were able to fight a lot more often. And now it's like in New York where I'm located, a lot of people want to fight. A lot of people want to fight, so opportunities are a little lessened now. So you usually have to wait a certain time to be placed on a certain card if you want to fight on a show. And in the tournaments, that's the place where, you know, everyone is able to compete. You know what I'm saying? But if it's like a show or something, you know, you have to what can I say? Wait to the next show because this show is full, and just to get your record up, you know, you want to fight as much as possible. It's not how the amateurs used to be where you could fight this week, okay, and then next week and you're gonna fight, or you're gonna fight after that. So usually you have to wait to a tournament to get a collection of fights at one time.
Right, right. I must say, when I fought, it was a little bit harder because military, but you're going to get at least one fight a month. I mean, it would be no problem getting 12 fights a year with no problem, especially if you went to a tournament where you can get 2 or 3 in a 3 or 4 day period. But you could at least get 12 fights a year with no problem. So it's not as easy now getting that many fights a year.
Right.
Oh, wow. Man, but that's kind of crazy, man. So it's crazy that boxing is that big and popular that there's actually a wait to actually get on cars. But man, you would think with all the PAL and different, man, you just think, man, so many cards are going on. But I'm assuming it's politics. If you don't know the right people, your team's not getting on that card.
Right. That's the thing too. My coach, he has a great relationship with the president of USA Boxing in New York. So he actually trained her. So you know what I'm saying? He has a really good relationship with her. So that helps as well. Did you guys get the link? I dropped it in the
I don't have it in this link. It's probably on my YouTube link. But after I finish playing this, I'll go back and click on it.
Okay, absolutely.
Same here.
So what we guys talking about? What you guys talking about?
We were talking about, well, first we're talking about Tyson being in the top 5, but the last thing we were talking about, you were talking about Alejandro, that what's that tall skinny guy that fought on a Gervonta Davis undercard? He was talking about Sebastian Fundora. Yeah, he was talking about how he being 6'5", how he doesn't use his height and his range, and how he makes his fight tough because he ducks down and fights at their level.
Yes, definitely. That was very frustrating to watch. I remember watching that fight. I was like, oh my gosh, could you get this guy out of there? He's not on your level. Why are you fighting down to his level? We could get to the main event so easy, but ended up being a 12-round fight. And credit to the guy who he was fighting. He put up a good fight, but you know, he just wasn't victorious. And that's more so not to the credit of that guy, not to discredit him, but you know, I will have to, because Fundora, he's a pretty good boxer. He's supposed to separate himself that night. And he didn't, you know, he just had to go back to the drawing board.
And the thing in that fight was like real messy, and he could have won easily if he would have used his jab and just his range, and he would have won easily. But once he started going down and fighting the other fighters fight, that's when it got bad.
Yeah, it got ugly. Yeah, that dude. If he. I mean, I think
Sergio Garcia is who he fought.
Yes, right. I think if Fundora, I don't know how the PBC works, but it seems like this dude has been in numerous title eliminator fights. I don't know how many fights that he's been. I'm sure that was another title eliminator he was in. I don't know. That's what I remember. from that fight. And the fight before that, he fought Jorge Cota.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not sure if he's ready for that opportunity to go against a Jamal or Castano, but I think he needs a lot more work, and he could be a force in the division. He just needs to work on a lot more things.
Yeah,
I agree.
Alejandro was comparing him to Paul Williams. How Paul Williams was just tall and lanky for junior middleweight.
Yeah, but Paul Williams, I like that comparison because of the physical dimensions, but Paul Williams was just a different type of athlete, like the speed, the power, footwork. He was just, he was just a different type of athlete. Fondora's a good athlete too, but he's not the athlete that Paul was. He was just a physical freak.
It's just what what we were talking about is how tall he is for the division and skinny.
Yeah, he is.
And they look like alike body wise, but yeah, Paul Williams was a monster. Too bad that what happened with his motorcycle accident. But I think that would have been a great fight because before that happened, he was supposed to fight Canelo, and I think that would have been a great fight. And that's when everybody was falling down when Canelo was looking for an opponent. But Paul Williams was he could have been a monster, but he forced and continued to be a big force. But unfortunately, that accident happened.
Yeah, sadly, yeah, that was unfortunate, really unfortunate.
Yeah, very.
But go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you guys. So I just want to know because I haven't really been on the YouTube community on live streams as much as I used to. But I just wanted to get you guys' opinion on the Crawford Porter fight. What did you guys think of that? Even though it happened so long ago.
So I knew he was going to beat Sean Porter, but I didn't think he was going to stop him the way he did.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And you know what that confirmed to me? That confirmed to me that Terrence actually grew in to his 147-pound body.
Right.
Now, if Crawford would have fought him as soon as he went to 147, I don't think he would have stopped him. But they allowed Crawford to grow and get in there with them 147 pounders, and his body and his strength grew with it, and he got comfortable. And man, it was a great fight, man. And he's just one of those guys that I don't think people are ever going to give him his credit. And I still believe it's a 60-40 fight, 60% to Crawford, that he would beat Errol Spence.
And I'm in agreement with that. I'm in agreement with that. Only because I'm gonna say this. This is how I feel about that fight, right? Errol Spence is a talented fighter. He's a very disciplined fighter in terms of what his style is. He fights one way, and he's fought the same way his whole career, right? Errol Spence he's physically more bigger than Terrence Crawford. That's his thing. He's physically bigger than most of the guys at 147. Case in point, why we haven't seen him make a move up to 154. Minus him not throwing out the fact that he has unfinished business at 147, but you know what I'm saying? I don't think he'll have the same effect that he has at 147. He'll have at 154 because he's so bigger than everybody else. Everybody at that weight class is at 154 is hitting a lot more harder. They're the same size or bigger than Errol Spence, right? But at 147 against Terrence Crawford, he has these physical advantages, right? So to make it a lot more tougher. But Errol Spence has been in a car accident, right? We have to take this into consideration, right? He has now this eye injury that is potentially career-ending injury, the retina injury, right? So that scar tissue right there, if it's very likely that if Terrence Crawford, who is a very heavy-handed individual, if he hits Errol Spence in the right place or at the right time, it could be all she wrote. And here comes the excuses. Oh, Errol Spence was in a car accident. He wasn't. Yeah. So, like you said, Terrence Crawford will never get the credit whether he beats Errol Spence or not. Whether they went back and forth and he still beats him, if it was a close fight, he won't get the credit. Because ultimately, how I feel, and you guys probably feel the same way, Terrence Crawford walks out the victor, right? But if Errol Spence was fully healthy, I think that's a way tougher fight than what it is now, which is 60-40.
Right.
Well, one of the things that I see different between all the welterweights that Crawford brings into the ring is that he's able to adjust, and
Right.
he could change his style. He goes from southpaw to orthodox, and he could just change as the fight goes. And a lot of these fighters are just same style over and over. But I honestly think that even if they would have fought maybe before the car accident, I think Crawford was still too small. But if the accident would never happen and after the Porter fight and they fought again, I think Crawford would still beat him.
Mm.
Right.
But
And
adjustments are
also
key.
hey,
Uh,
real quick, try to put your link back in the chat when it didn't show up
All
the
right.
first time. And
All right.
also exclusive, also, and and I was going to bring up the thing about his eye. I'm really curious right now. I'm seeing these images floating around of him sparring, getting back into sparring. I'm curious to see if he's going to have any blurriness or eye conditions while he's sparring right now. And I'm really wondering how he's going to do. And that, I don't know, man. He's getting ready for this Yugas fight, man. But this sparring is going to tell it all whether his eye is where it needs to be at or not during this sparring.
That's true too. A lot of people saying he just knocked somebody out of sparring. I don't know what that has to do with him fighting Ugas. Ugas is no pushover. People saying Errol Spencer's gonna beat him 10-2, 9-3. I don't see that, bro.
Right.
Ugas could take a punch. He has the same work rate as Errol Spence, bro. Their styles are kind of similar in a sense. They stand right in the middle of the ring and they fight. I mean, I don't really see Ugas as a typical Cuban boxer who utilizes the whole ring. He stands in the center of the ring, and that's where
Right.
he's most effective.
Right. And you're right. So think about it. He beat Manny Pacquiao, which wasn't too hard because Manny is on the back nine of his career, so he's pretty much almost shot, but he still beat him, right? But then two, honestly, 90% of the people I know felt that you guys beat Sean Porter.
Yeah.
I honestly thought he pulled it off, and for Spence to not fight Pacquiao and basically not having the biggest fight of his career, it means a lot. Like it says a lot of what's going on with his eye, because a lot of fighters fight injured and just to get that big fight or that big purse or whatever. But for him not to fight and letting the Pacquiao fight go is huge. It's huge. So we don't know how his eye is. He could say it's fine, but that to me tells me that it's not fine.
Right.
And he's coming back from an injury so quick. This injury needs at least 12 months to recover from. So I don't know how I don't know, man. I don't know. It's really sad that a lot of fights that we want to see it's just not looking the way we wanted it to, and that's just how boxing goes. I mean, we wanted to see Errol and Keith Thurman fight, and now look at them. They're both like a lesser version of themselves, so to speak. I don't really know how Errol's gonna look or Keith Thurman, but from what I've seen recently, Errol Spence did look good against Danny Garcia, so we could go based off that. But he has his injury now that makes things a little more different. Now we have to see how he looks again after we see how he looked after the car accident. So it's just another thing. With Keith Thurman, he just lost to Manny Pacquiao, who lost to Ugas, and it's just a lot of confusion now.
And look, let's take a look at this. So he fought Sean Porter September 2019, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then boom, the whole thing happened with the accident and all that, right?
Right.
And then it was a year and 3 months later, came back, fought Danny Garcia, which everybody knew he was going to beat Danny Garcia, even after coming off his injuries. I mean, when they said styles make fight, Danny was perfect for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then turn around, he didn't fight all last year because of the eye injury, and now he's getting ready for a guy that got a high work rate. You're looking at a guy that's only fought once in the last 2 years.
2 years
against a workhorse like that. He's going to be in more than what he bargains for.
Yeah, he is.
And Ugas has been more active too than
exactly
with him. He's active. So
and think about how Ugas's confidence and ego has boosted after beating Manny Pacquiao, a guy who he was an underdog against. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's what is his height? He's about the same size as Errol Spence, right? He's about 5.
They got him at 5'9". He's 27 wins, 4 losses, 12 knockouts. Now he's never out of his 4 losses. He's never been stopped.
Yeah, so that's a game dude right there, bro. Ugas, man, that dude could fight, man.
And 2 of his losses were split decisions to Johnny Garcia and Emmanuel Robles.
Yeah, man, Ugas.
No, 3 split decisions. Yeah, Johnny Garcia, Emmanuel Robles, and Sean Porter were all split decision losses. And the only one that's a unanimous decision was way back in 2014 against Amir Imam. And Amir Imam was knocking out everybody at that time.
And I think the fight,
Amir Imam's from out of Albany, New York, right?
Oh, I didn't even know that. Yeah, I definitely heard. Didn't he fight Jose Ramirez too, right?
Yep. Jose Ramirez back in 2018. He lost a 12-round decision.
Yeah, that was a hell of
yeah. Up to that time, he was knocking out everybody. So that and even at that time, you guys were still banging with him.
So what do you guys think about Ugas versus Crawford?
50-50. That would be a 50-50 fight for Terrence.
I think it will be 60-40.
I really don't know about that fight because Ugas is he does a lot of unexpected things, man. I'm not saying he'll beat Terrence, but he just shows up at the right times, bro.
Well, put it like this: we're going to have to base it after this Errol Spence fight. This Errol Spence fight is going to tell you everything whether he can beat Terrence Crawford or not.
Right
now, if he beats Errol Spence, then that's a 50-50 fight. If he loses to Errol Spence, then it's a 60-40 fight for Crawford. It's going to come down to this Errol Spence fight.
Right.
But do you guys agree that if you had to pick the fights today, Ugas is a bigger threat to Crawford than Spence?
Nah, I think he's a bigger fight he's a bigger fight to Spence. A bigger threat to Spence. Not because Spence is inactivity.
Right. That is true. Inactivity is important. But I don't think it'll be a thing with inactivity with Errol. I think it's gonna be whether or not that injury plays a bigger factor than what we think. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm just looking to see how he responds when he gets hit. Other than that, I think he beats Ugas.
Yep, that's it. To see how he responds when he gets hit. And honestly, I really believe he's gonna have that high guard up for most of that fight because he don't want to get a clean shot to that eye.
Yeah, what is it? The left eye or the right eye, right? It's the right eye, right?
I think it's the right eye.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have that. Yeah, he got to keep his right hand protected. Yeah, he's gonna have to keep that hand up. He usually drops his hands a lot too.
Yeah, and I tell you what, and if you guys got that jab popping all night, it's gonna be problems for Spence.
Yeah, I hope. Oh man, I hope it don't get ugly. I really hope not, man. I really hope not. I just want to see Terrence. I mean, go ahead.
I just hope it happens. First of all, you know how these things. Spence
when is the schedule? When is the schedule for?
It hasn't been announced yet.
April, they said it's supposed to be in April. That's what it is.
Yeah, they didn't even put it in box rec yet, so it's not even official yet.
No, it's not official yet. I believe it was a mandate fight. Hold on one sec.
Yeah, mandatory.
And I think Errol and Crawford need to fight each other before these young dudes come and get them, man. I mean, Virgil and Boots are knocking at the door, man. Come on now.
Right.
People talk about Jaron Ennis a little bit more than Virgil. I mean, I'm a bigger fan of Virgil than Jaron Ennis but I see why people really are high on Jaron Ennis. He has a very lucrative skill set, a lot more than Virgil, I would say, but I just like Virgil, man. I think he's just a dog, man. I mean, I just love the way the kid fight, man. For real, like really though. Like
Right.
he's an animal, bro.
Right. That's true.
They could really pick their poison with either one, Boots or Virgil, but I think both of them are destructive young guys right now. I don't think Errol or Terrence want a piece of them right now, bro. Honestly,
Right.
they need to get each other before they get them.
Right. Right. Yeah, and both of them are young, man. They still need a good solid 3 or more hard fights to
Right.
really be battle tested, and then they'll be ready for either one of those guys.
And I think this
So
may be a little underwhelming, but I think uh I take quality over quantity. I mean, Boots has a lot
Right.
more fights, but I think Virgil, he's more tested in certain areas. We've seen how he responds when he takes a punch. We've seen him in adversity, you know what I'm saying, against somebody who people want to argue whether Terrence Crawford got dropped by this dude or not, but I think he was, honestly. But the Mean Machine fight showed me a lot about Virgil, you know what I'm saying, and what he did in that
Yeah,
fight.
he stopped him in the 8th round. Yep.
Yeah, we saw the adversity that he faced in the fight. You know, he overcame, you know what I'm saying? And we haven't seen Boots in those situations, so we really don't know per se. His competition has been okay. I mean, but I don't think he has been, even though Virgil's competition has been far greater, but I just think he has a better resume with less fights.
mhm.
I mean,
Right.
he's
Right.
He
coming
did
from
it the
140.
hooker fight too.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew that
That
was going
was
to happen, that hooker fight.
that one
I
was a
knew that
good
was going to
fight.
happen, that hooker fight. Look, they both from Dallas also. I knew that was
Right.
going to happen.
And people really
So
can't say that.
so there's rumors right now that this is Virgil Ortiz right now is training in San Diego. So they're saying that he might join the Canelo team. What do you guys think about that if that happens?
What
I
I think no, Maz, is you're in San Diego, so you need to go to the gym and get these interviews.
mean,
It's hard to get to the Canelo one though. That one's you got to get invited.
Man,
But
figure out a way to get invited.
there's I got to figure it out, man. I'm working on it.
All right.
But I was told by a source that Virgil Ortiz is here in San Diego, in National City to be exact, and he's been sparring at a local gym from here. So
Well,
it
I'll
was
put it
like a
like this.
month ago.
Yeah, I put it like this. I
Go
think
ahead.
that's a good thing because the level of athletes in the world titles that's in that gym, or you step up your level to your environment. So him being in that environment is just going to cause him just to step it up a whole nother level, to see the work ethic, to be around championship caliber fighters, the things you're going to learn from Canelo and others there versus learning from Eddie Reynoso. I mean, that's just a win-win for Virgil.
I mean, I like Virgil being a part of that camp, but it's a lot of controversy surrounding that camp. I don't want him into that environment with all that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he needs that as young as he is. I don't think he'll be able to handle the pressure of that right now. And I think he's been listening to the critiques that many people have about him, the perception about his defense and his head movement, and maybe getting over there with Eddie Reynoso, maybe that could spice it up for him, I guess. But he could definitely learn from that camp. I mean, Canelo is who he is. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the best fighters in the world, so he could definitely learn a lot. But I just don't want his career to be tainted by the controversy surrounding Canelo Alvarez and his past. You know what I'm saying? And that's really
Right.
unfortunate, but it's the truth.
Right. Yeah, man, you gotta watch what's in them steaks that they're gonna be having during dinner time.
Wait, oh, so
You,
now I just looked him up, and it looks like he's not gonna go with them. Hold on.
oh, he's
Yeah, I did
not.
see something about that. Yeah, I did see that he's gonna go with somebody else. I forget the name. I
Yeah,
forgot.
and I was thinking Manny Robles.
Yeah.
So, so one of the things is, I think Manny Robles. He's one of the great. He's a real good coach. So he had Valdez. He had Andy Reese when they beat Anthony Joshua, and he's done great. But everybody decided to leave him to go with the more popular trainer. But I honestly think that Virgil Ortiz would be a great fit with Manny Robles, and Manny could concentrate on him, and the Reynosos, they have so many fighters that I don't think they would give 100% concentration to each fighter, and I think Manny Robles will be able to give Virgil Ortiz what he needs.
I think that's the same thing that happened with the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy. Robert Garcia was taking on so many fighters that he wasn't able to give full attention to everybody.
Right, and I think I heard that's kind of why, that's basically what he said, the reason why Virgil decided to respectfully part ways from him, because of that, because he decided to go with another fighter to his fight, just to show that he's not being having favoritism towards a more popular and known fighter in Virgil than the other guy. And he felt like Virgil didn't need him because he felt like Virgil was gonna beat what's his guy, Mean Machine, but that's not how you handle business as a coach. You don't do things that
Absolutely.
way.
Hey, listen, Abel Sanchez is open. How come nobody's running to Abel?
I don't know. It's just Big Bear, maybe. But
I mean, after Triple G was gone, it's like nobody really just stuck around no more.
Oh, I
don't know who.
That'll be I like that coach for Virgil.
Yeah. And listen, whatever happened to Virgil, was it Hunter? Andre Ward's trainer. No,
he's with Barrios. He has Barrios. That's the only fighter I know of him. I know he has more fighters, but the fighter I know most right now, he has Barrios right now.
Yeah. He had a few there at one time when he was training Andre Ward, but it kind of, after Andre Ward retired, it kind of just seemed like it went downhill. Hey, listen, at one time, Nacho Bernstein was the hottest trainer out of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Right, he just said some remarks about Canelo. I seen that.
Yeah, because he thought that Canelo is going to be one of the greatest Mexican fighters of all time, I think he said.
Right. And it was good for him to believe that. I mean, Canelo, he's a real good fighter.
Yeah, I think for the older generation, people over 50, Chavez Sr. will always be the hero. But anybody 40 and under is definitely Canelo.
Right.
And it's a lot of politics on that one. Because like Marquez and like the old school fighters, Mexican fighters, they still don't want to give Canelo his props, and they say that a lot of stuff was given to him and so on. But what Canelo has done.
He started fighting pro, 15, 16?
Yeah.
What's given to you at 15, 16 years old?
Right. Well, the Matthew Haddon fight when he got his first belt, that was like, well, they said that they gave it to him, and what he's done with the WBC, that they been giving him benefits. But honestly, I'll be honest, when Canelo was coming up, I wasn't a huge fan of him. But once he fought Austin Trout, that's when I'm like, he will never fight Austin Trout, and he fought him, and after he beat Cotto, and I'm like, oh my. After that fight, I'm like, oh, this guy really wants to go for the names and fight the big guys. So,
let me tell you something. I was at that Austin Trout fight. I got media credentials, and I covered that fight. And let me tell you something, man. At the Alamo Dome, first of all, they didn't cut it. They didn't cut it off. They filled that Alamo Dome. Let me tell you something. I never felt a roar of the crowd like that made my chest pump, man. It's like you get in a car where people got loudspeakers and some woofers, and you feel that vibration hitting you every time that bass hit. You feel it hit your chest. That's what it felt like at the roar of the crowd. I felt like I was in a car with some woofers hitting my chest. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I know we heard about the rumors about him fighting Charlo. I mean, I like the fight, but I think Charlo, the older Charlo, is a little bit overhyped. I'm not a fan of him. I was a fan of him initially, and it's crazy how I didn't like Jamal Charlo. No, I like Jamal Charlo, and I didn't like Jamal. But after Jamal went and got his win back against Tony Harrison, that's when I kind of liked the dude, because he he's so passionate about boxing, and a lot of
Right.
people got this misperception about him. And when they played the little promo to him after he beat Tony Harrison, and then he went on to fight Banana. What's his name? Oh man, Rosario. They showed a little promo how he was coming back and how he overcame Tony Harrison. That right there really made me like him. And then I started to see that his older brother was the one who was really the shady one, doing a lot of things that I just didn't like. So I'm team Jamel really, but Jamal, I think he's a little bit overhyped. I don't really see much in him like I used to. I don't know if he's losing track of who he is. I don't know, but I don't think he has that fire in him anymore.
I'll put it like this. I don't see nobody beating Canelo at 154, 160. The only person at 168 that I could see giving him problems is was it Benavidez? Am I saying that right?
Benavidez.
Yep.
Yeah.
Benavidez. He's the only 168 pounder I see giving him troubles. 175, he got to pick his poison who he fights. He knows who to fight and who not to fight at 175.
Right. Oh yeah. Got it.
Hey, what weight class does what's his name? Ramirez? Is that 175?
Yeah, that's 175. Yeah, that's
hey, listen.
That's Zerto.
Zerto. Gilbert, right? Gilbert's his first name. Let me tell you something.
Roberto, yeah.
Dude,
Gilberto, yeah.
If we can get Ramirez versus Benavidez at 175, oh my God. I think that would be fight of the century at 175.
Yeah, that'll be
two top Mexican fighters like that, and put them.
Wait, who you said? Gilberto and Benavidez, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'll be they sparred too. That'll be a great fight.
Oh, who did it look like was doing better in sparring?
Oh,
I know that doesn't mean
they just showed the after footage of they taking their headgear off, taking a picture and stuff.
No, wow. Let me tell you something. The Mexicans will come out. They can put that to Alamo Dame, wherever the Mexicans are going to be at to watch that fight. They would sell that place out, man.
Oh yeah, I mean that fight in any fight with Canelo will sell out, man. I mean he's just an anomaly in the sport,
right?
In the sport. So I mean anybody he can fight. He can fight Joe. He can fight a Plant. They're gonna watch. He can fight he can fight anything. They're gonna come watch.
Right.
I mean, I'm a watch. You know what I'm saying?
One of the things is that I did after the Plant fight. I was speaking to, I don't know if I should say his name, but he told me that Jermall Charlo was next for Canelo, and I personally think is that they want to cash him out. Because he's been in a lot of problems of late, and I do have some audio, but I don't know if I could put it out there because it was by accident. I had my camera on, and the audio was recorded, and I'm like, oh, but I don't know if I could put it out, Sean.
Hey,
I'll send it to you, but I don't know if I could. But he is a reliable source that said that, because I asked him, what do you think? What's next for Canelo? Should it be Benavidez? And he said, not Benavidez. He'll fight Charlo next. And I'm all, you sure? And he said, yeah, it's almost guaranteed. And I'm all like, oh, and the way he said it, it seemed kind of like it's time to cash him out.
Right.
Oh wow. I mean,
he's been in a lot of problems. Sean, I'm sure you hear all the stuff he's done over there in Texas.
Oh yeah.
And that he almost got in a fight recently at a fight. We heard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's oh man, he shows disgusting behavior. I don't know what's going on with this dude, but I think Canelo seen that last fight, that most recent fight with what's his name? Oh man, what's
the guy he's gonna rematch, right?
Oh, he's gonna rematch that dude?
No. He's talking about Jamel.
No, that's the other.
Jamel's
I'm talking about the other one.
Jamel's rematching Castellano. Brian Castellano. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamal just fought what's his name? Man, Montiel. Yeah. I think Canelo
Yeah.
seen that fight. He
Oh
liked
man,
himself.
that Mexican dude gave him all he can handle.
Yeah, and he buzzed him too. His legs got
Yep.
stinky. I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
yeah, that's yep. I don't.
But
He can't
it's
beat
almost a
Canelo.
guarantee he's fighting Charlo next.
You're right.
Remember, I told you guys.
Yep.
I should have told you
believe.
guys in September.
Yeah. They're talking about it. I mean, it's all over. I think the fight is signed already. No mas.
Yeah,
The fight is signed, I believe.
It's most likely going to happen in the MGM Grand, so Vegas for May 5th, and then after
Man,
that, after in September, that one's kind of tough. Who he would fight? I think he'll probably fight Triple G. Watch. I have a feeling that
That's
could happen.
that's what the reports are saying. Bleacher and ESPN. That's basically what they're feeding the media. So I guess so, but Charlo's in for a world of hurt, man. I mean, he can't beat this dude. He can't beat Canelo, bro.
Right.
I mean, I'm just being honest. I mean, look, I don't want to say it takes a lot to beat this dude, bro. As easy as hard as cliche as that may sound, bro. Like he walks in there and makes it look so easy. It's because of how he demands the ring. Like a guy like Benavidez demands the ring. That's a guy who's gonna challenge him and push him as much as Canelo gonna push him. So they're gonna meet in the center of the ring. Canelo gonna push Jamal Charlo back. I don't think the power is what we thought it was. I don't think the power is, and then he's gonna be moving up. Canelo's not going down, so the power is gonna be even less than what it is in the weight class that he felt most dominant in at 160. Right. So he's going up to face Canelo. So it doesn't benefit him at all. He's gonna get hurt.
Right. And one of the things also is a lot of people like talk about Canelo being a big dude, and he's not. The times I met him, he's a small little guy.
He's about 5'8". Yeah,
he's just thick. That's it.
Yeah.
And like when I went to the the presser when they announced the fight versus Plant looked way bigger than him, huge compared to
like 6'1"
to Canelo. Yeah. So he's not a big dude, and for him to going up in weight to fight these guys is crazy.
Yeah. All right, well, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up, man. We're in an hour and 22 minutes, man. So listen, exclusive, man. So listen, we're gonna be back on next Tuesday around 8:30 again. We should have a guest on, but man, feel free to hop on next week, man, and join us again.
Oh, I will. Definitely will. I will be subscribing too, man. I'm glad I seen this channel for it.
Yep.
Sounds good, man.
Yep. All right, fight fans. This is Sean with Boxing and Basketball. Alejandro, my guest. And man, until next time, we signing out.